Hi everyone, this is a paper from a brave volunteer in our class. I'm going to go over this really quickly together since YouTube limits how long I can record videos. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on track changes, and I posted an announcement that talks about how to make sure that you can see all my comments and changes. So it's going to look a little different because I have a Mac, but if you have a PC it's very similar. You just go to Review tab here. On a PC, it's going to say tracking in this section here, but this drop-down box, sometimes it'll change to like simple markup. You want to make sure it says all markup. But I'm going to turn on track changes so you can see what I am doing. The first thing I do is look at I do a brief overview of the paper. So I'm looking for short paragraphs, I'm looking for headings, I'm looking for anything that creates white space like bulleted list, numbered list. In business writing, you want to keep your paragraphs short. First of all, a long paragraph is harder to read, especially on a computer screen, and most people do a lot of reading on computer screens these days. Another thing is people in the business world are busy, and if they have a long paragraph, more than likely they're not going to read it. They're just going to skim right through it, and at that point, you've wasted your time and lost your audience. So you want to make sure you keep your paragraphs short. And as you can see here, this person did a good job of keeping the paragraph short. Another thing that if I've already rated your paper and you've seen this mentioned, by talking about like white space, that's one thing that keeping your paragraph short does. It creates white space. Same thing with using headings. Headings are great because it organizes your information. It makes it easier for your reader. But it also creates white space. Same thing with a bulleted or numbered list if it is appropriate for your writing, for whatever message you're sending, then great, use bullets and numbered lists if you can. Make sure you always introduce them. But you can see here it creates that white space, which just really makes it so much easier on the eyes. So as we're writing these documents this semester, remember we are taking an audience-centered approach. We really want to make sure that whatever we do appeals to our audience, whether it's the way that we format things or it's the way that we word things. All right, so my name is Student 1, comma, and this memo is to serve the purpose of providing a platform to which I can introduce myself to you. We use a comma here because we have this conjunction, and with this conjunction, we're joining two complete sentences. My name is Student 1, that's a complete sentence. This memo is to serve the purpose of providing a platform to which I can introduce myself to you is also a complete sentence. So if you're joining a complete sentence with a conjunction, if you're joining two complete sentences with a conjunction, you need a comma with it. A conjunction can't do it by itself. Let's see. I am looking forward to working with you throughout the course and have already noticed that your fun and youthful approach to teaching has me excited about a class that I once dreaded. Well, that's really good to hear. Thank you. Hopefully you feel that way after 8 weeks. I hope you will take away from this memo a better understanding of who I am as well as assess my writing technique to ensure that I can capture the optimum written communication skills. All right. Let's see, background. I live in a once small town called Beaver Creek, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton, Ohio. So one thing a lot of people don't know, well, first of all, one thing people do know typically is that you put, when you have a city and a state, you put a comma between it, right? So it's Beaver Creek, comma, Ohio, Dayton, comma, Ohio. But one thing people don't usually know is that if you have a city and a state, and you have more words that follow, you need a comma with that. So, and then a quick lesson on hyphens. Whenever you're joining like a couple of words, 2 or 3 words together to form an adjective, like form one word to describe something, then you need to hyphenate it. So I live in a once small town. So she's kind of like once small, hold on, I'm trying to think of how, in a once small town. There we go. So once small is being put together to talk about what kind of town. Beaver Creek is also the town that I grew up in and the town my parents grew up in. I understand to most that this sounds incredibly boring and I can appreciate that. Comma, but. So a semicolon won't work here because a semicolon joins two complete sentences. It goes where a period can go, and a period can't go here because we're starting this next part with a conjunction. So remember, if we're joining two complete sentences with a conjunction, it has to have a comma with it. So again, a semicolon can go anywhere a period can go. But in my case, comma. So that would be a comma after an introductory expression. I have lived in other places, traveled all over, and ended up here after having my own children. Okay, there's something called an Oxford comma, or also known as a serial comma, and that's like the last comma before the final item in your list. And it's kind of a debated thing about whether or not you should use it. In journalism, they don't use it because they follow the AP style, which is different than the APA style. But I highly recommend using the serial comma because without it, a lot of times it is easy to misread the final part. So it's just better to include the serial comma when you have a list of things. All right, my town once housed more farmland than, not then tells time order, than compares, whoops, people, and since the 90s we have seen a steady increase of housing as well as retail spaces, and all the farmland has been gobbled up. Okay, so we're joining more than one complete sentence here with this conjunction. So my town once housed more farmland than people, comma, because that's complete sentence, and since the 90s, comma, after an introductory expression, we have seen a steady increase of housing as well as retail spaces, comma, and all of the farmland has been gobbled up. So again, when you're joining more than one complete sentence with a conjunction, it has to have a buddy with it, the comma, because it can't do it on its own. I finished my associate's degree. A lot of people have been making this mistake, and I'll be honest, like I at one point had to look it up forever ago because it's something that we all see a million different ways. So the correct way to do this is my associate, and actually it's not an associate's. You have a bachelor's and a master's, but it's actually associate. So I finished my associate degree. And you only capitalize a degree if you're talking about, if you're giving the specific name of the degree, like Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts, Master of Arts, something like that. You do not capitalize a specialty. So if she had said like associate degree in human resources, you wouldn't capitalize human resources. I finished my associate degree in 2014 after recognizing that my ability to get a job that would sustain the lifestyle that I wanted for my 3 kids and I required a degree. I had been divorced for many years and had owned a business that was sufficient to get what we needed but not what we wanted out of life. I started back to school for my bachelor's degree. Good. Lowercase, perfect, not the specific name. In 2016, after once again recognizing that although I had achieved a high level of success in my career, After once again recognizing that although I had achieved a high level of success in my career, comma, after an introductory expression, and there's actually more technical ways of explaining that, but I don't want to confuse you guys. I was not going to go any further up without my degree. I'm going to get rid of up. Would not go any further without my degree. My family is everything to me in every decision, so we need a comma because this conjunction is joining 2 complete sentences. Every decision I make in life is based upon whether we as a unit will benefit from that decision. We love to camp, travel, swim, and have our friends over to hang out on the porch, possibly drink. So now this is kind of running in. So we have like a list of things. We love to camp, travel, swim, and have our friends over to hang on the porch, comma, possibly drink too much wine at times and listen to our favorite music. I have been blessed to cultivate spectacular relationships over the years, comma, and even though we are a blended family, comma, after an introductory expression, we are surrounded by supportive and strong people. Okay, my interest. I'm going to say this should actually be interest because you have more than one here, I'm guessing. I'm guessing she's going to talk about more than one. I am interested in everything, and I mean that in the worst way possible, as I find myself with a lot of spinning plates in the air at any given time. I can sympathize with that. I'm interested in everything, comma, and I mean that because we're joining 2 complete sentences with a conjunction. I love people, places, food, drink, travel, news, current events, my children, anything that must do with music. I go to a lot of concerts throughout the year as our town has several venues that pull, several venues, plural, that pull, and some pretty good bands. The below list is the last 4 shows I have seen with the fabulous Willie Nelson on the horizon. Let's do, I've seen, comma, with the fabulous, she's talking about how Willie Nelson's going to be on the tail end of that list. So, The below list, okay, is the last part. Okay, cool. All right, she has a list. Good, and she introduced that list, which is great. Willie Nelson was like one of the first concerts I saw, actually, in Texas at a cool bar named Billy Bob. They had like an indoor rodeo. Anyway, I work in human resources, and I have enjoyed those classes the most simply because they are relatable to my everyday job. Okay, so we need a comma here. Okay, I work in human resources, so we're going to lowercase that because that's not the specific. It'd be like I work in construction. You wouldn't capitalize construction. And that's something like sometimes how I just to help you guys, like if you're not sure about if you should capitalize something, try replacing it with a word that you know for sure you do or don't capitalize it. So I work in education, I work in construction, I work in medicine. I know I wouldn't capitalize any of those words. So because that's just the name of the field, or it's like the category of the field. It's not like the specific name. So I have found that when I am studying a certain subject, comma, after introductory expression, it often comes up at work, and because of my classes, comma, because we're joining two complete sentences, because of my classes, comma, after introductory expression, I know the answer either legally or ethically. I'm close to my degree. I can almost smell it. Oh, run on. I'm close to my degree, semicolon, because we could put a period there too, but since these are very closely related sentences, we'll just use a semicolon to help it kind of flow more smoothly. I can almost smell it, comma, joining two complete sentences with the conjunction. By Christmas of this year, comma, after introductory expression, I can put this chapter of my life behind me. My hopes for this course are to learn a better approach to writing and to be honest. Oh, see how I kept reading that, and to be honest? Like it sounds like a better approach to being honest. So we need that comma to show we're starting a new sentence, right? Joined with that conjunction. To be honest, comma, after introductory expression. I wish I would have taken this class earlier due to the benefits I know I will achieve out of it. So many people say that, but so many people are afraid of this class. It's crazy. All right. It's like public speaking. People are afraid of English and public speaking. I am 44. We're going to turn that into a number because you should spell out numbers 1 through 9, but anything 10 and up you want to use figures for. And if you have a mix of figures, or mix of numbers 10 and up and 1 through 9, then once you have that 10 and up in that sentence if it's in the same sentence with the 1 through 9, then you use all figures, even for the number 1. Hopefully I didn't just confuse you. Okay. I am 44 years old, comma, look, because there's a conjunction. We don't really see this one much as a conjunction that joins two complete sentences, but there you go. I am 44 years old, so I have lived a very full life with many accomplishments along the way, comma, but if I had to list a top 5, comma, after, so see, technically, that would normally be like 1 through 9 would be written out, but since there's this one that's over 10 in that same sentence, we're going to turn that into a number. If I had to list the top 5, comma, after an introductory expression, they would be listed from lowest to highest below. My list is based upon what I truly love in life, comma, and there have been many small successes that have added along the way to a very fulfilled life. Okay, achieved a wonderful career, traveled all of the United States, cultivated many friendships, married my best friend, raised 4 children, 3 from a previous marriage, and my baby Sophie, who is 4, with my best friend. Okay, so notice that she introduced her list. Awesome. And then on top of that, her list is in parallel format, which means that each item in the list is in the same grammatical format. So each one she starts with the verb, achieved, traveled, cultivated. It wasn't like achieved, my best friend is my husband, right? Because that wouldn't be if she had worded it that way, it wouldn't be the same. So it all starts with the same past tense verb. I would like to keep up with my current grade goals of an A in every class, which has led to a 3.82 GPA. Let me go back here. Class, comma, which has led to a 3.82 GPA. I would also like to learn more about effective written communication skills to enhance my career. I'm currently in the process of switching to civilian services versus contracting, and seeing that instance, it may or may not need to be capitalized. It's hard for me to judge at this point because I'm not really sure If I know contracting, I think is an office. I don't know if I think civilian services is also the name of the office. And if that's the case, then for sure that needs to be capitalized. Sometimes if I don't really know much about your career field, it's hard for me to make a judgment. So I'll just ask you. So if that's the specific name of an office, capitalize it. If it's like a general name for like a field of study or a career field, then lowercase it. So, and this degree, comma with that, is the final step in that process. I have recently done a Hail Mary pass to get the job that I want, which, comma, which involves some very predominant people stepping up on my behalf. And the letters of recommendations have been, and the letters of recommendations have been extremely common. I hope to continue my successful career while cultivating lasting relationships and friendships along the way. I would like to one day become a GS-15 equivalent, supervising, that should not be capitalized. I think it's, okay, how to read ahead a little bit, comma, supervising the next generation to enhance the Air Force and the great programs in place as well as those yet to come. Cool. So this is a great paper. This would be an A paper. There are some minor editing errors, mostly the same comma errors over and over. So that's a good thing because she just really has to focus on that one comma error. I know, thank you. So she did a great job on her formatting. It's nicely organized. She introduces her bulleted list. I will say that there are a couple places, mostly in the beginning, where this memo is to serve the purpose of providing a platform, which, like, that's a little wordy. I hope you'll take away from this memo a better understanding of who I am as well as assess my writing technique to ensure that I can capture the optimum written. That's wordy too. Sometimes, just remember, like, you don't have to, don't try to sound too professional or too smart because sometimes it just makes it more awkward for your audience to read. But otherwise, this is a well-written memo, and I will get this posted. Thanks, guys.